So y'all waiting on me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna pray us in.
Man, I don't know exactly what I want to say.
You just say whatever you want to say.
Say whatever's on
Heavenly
your heart.
Father, I thank you for bringing us together, the lighthouse. And I want you to place your angels of protection around each and every one of us. Open our eyes and our ears that we get the true meaning of your word today. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Very nice.
That was very nice. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for letting me.
Of course, of course. All right. So we are going to cover Leviticus 18, 19, and 20 today.
Oh, you got
Okay.
20
I did get 20 done. Yes. I did that over my lunch break and got all the notes sent to Denisha. All right. So we shall start. So the chapter 18 is covering unlawful sexual relations.
Huh?
Yep.
Unlawful. Listen to
Unlawful.
what. Would that be gay girls and gay guys?
It does cover that. It also
Okay.
covers
Unmarried.
incest.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting my Bible right now.
Okay. You let me know when you're ready and ready to follow along.
Oh, leg don't hurt, please. Okay, you can start.
Okay. All right. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, I am the Lord your God. You shall not do as they do in the land of Egypt, where you lived, and you shall not do as they do in the land of Canaan, to which I am bringing you. You shall not walk in their statutes. You shall follow my rules and keep my statutes and walk in them. I am the Lord your God. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my rules. If a person does them, he shall live by them. I am the Lord. None of you shall approach any one of his close relatives to uncovered nakedness. I am the Lord. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, which is the nakedness of your mother. She is your mother. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife. It is your father's nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your sister, your father's daughter, or your mother's daughter, whether brought up in the family or in another home. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your son's daughter or of your daughter's daughter, for their nakedness is your own nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife's daughter, brought up in your father's family, since she is your sister. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister. She is your father's relative. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for she is your mother's relative. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother. That is, you shall not approach his wife. She is your aunt. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your daughter in law. She is your son's wife. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your brother's wife. It is your brother's nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of a woman and of her daughter. You shall not take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness. They are relatives. It is depravity. You shall not take a woman as a rival wife to her sister, uncovering her nakedness while her sister is still alive. You shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness while she is in her menstrual uncleanness. You shall not lie sexually with your neighbor's wife and so make yourself unclean with her. You shall not give any of your children to offer them to Molech and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. You shall not lie with any animal and so make yourself unclean with it. Neither shall any woman give herself to an animal to lie with it. It is perversion. Do not make yourselves unclean by any of these things, for by all these the nations I am driving out before you have become unclean. And the land became unclean, so that I punished its iniquity, and the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you shall keep my statutes and my rules, and do none of these abominations, either the native or the stranger who sojourns among you. For the people of the land who were before you did all of these abominations, so that the land became unclean. Lest the land vomit you out when you make it unclean, as it vomited out the nation that was before you. For everyone who does any of these abominations, the person who do them shall be cut off from among their people. So keep my charge never to practice any of these abominable customs that were practiced before you, and never to make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God.
Well, that covered all of it too.
It covered a good deal for sure. So God continuously reminds not only of who he is, but also how his people are to live and conduct themselves. They're to remain set apart in all ways. In this, the Lord gives a warning as well. Don't be like Egypt, where they left, or Canaan, where they're going. So they're surrounded by all of this. And he's saying, like, you may see it, but don't become a part of it. To uncover nakedness, that was repeated 19 times in this chapter. In this context, is to have sexual relations with someone in the family, which of course brought shame and sin. So, incestual relationships. Uncovering the nakedness can also be described as any sexual act, as well as in a more broad context, nudity. So viewing it, reading it, hearing it. So anything related to pornography or any sexual immorality. So God is warning against breaking moral boundaries by dishonoring the sacred covenant of marriage and sex. God defines specific boundaries for the family because family is the foundation of society. And incest naturally wrecks families. In Leviticus 18:8, where it says the nakedness of a husband or wife belongs to their spouse only. So remember the order of things when God created man and wife. In Genesis 2:25, it states that the man and his wife were naked and unashamed. So at that point, sin had not entered. It was nothing to them to be naked because they were still pure and their mind wasn't corrupted. Now, previously, we've read about marriage within the family during the patriarchal period where they were marrying relatives, but it wasn't immediate family. It was within their own clan or tribe and for the specific purpose of creating lineage solidarity and preserved land inheritance. So at that point, there weren't a bunch of different families on the earth. So in that context is different from here where you've got a populated area, you've got several, tree branches of the family trees and things like that. God warned them to stay away from uncovering the nakedness of either parent, step parent, sibling, step siblings, grandchildren, aunts, uncles, their spouses, the in-laws, etc. And this outlines not only familial relations within the blood, but also those brought in by marriage. Taking a look back, there's a couple instances that we've already seen where in Genesis 19:30 through 38, where Lot's daughters got him drunk and had sex with him, and then they both had children by their father. Reuben had sex with Bilhah, his father's concubine, in Genesis 35:22. And then Judah had sex with his daughter-in-law in Genesis 38. So we already see a few instances of this kind of thing happening outside of what God permitted. So when God calls something depravity, it's defined as the state of being depraved or corrupted, a vitiated state of moral character, general badness of character, wickedness of mind or heart, and an absence of religious feeling and principle. These types of relationships cause trauma to the person mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Any children born out of incest also have a higher likelihood of congenital abnormalities and genetic disorders. God gives another reminder to not approach a woman during her time of the month because she is unclean. And we read that 2 weeks ago when we were going through that. Do not have sex with your neighbor's wife, so committing adultery. And then God gets into child sacrifice. So he gives warning not to offer the children to Molech. This was sacrificing the children. The practice started by the Ammonites, which was the lineage of one of Lot's daughters when she had a child by her father named Ben-Ami, and he started the Ammonites. Molech was a deity surrounding nations would worship and offer sacrifices to, specifically their children. The research that I did, there was a couple different things that they described as far as what the statues were, but it was a large statue or an altar of a false god. So it was a man's body with a bull's head, and a fire would be lit and the child would be offered for sacrifice. So some of the pictures that I saw, they had the altar. The altar had the like the fire in the stomach of the statue, and then the hands were outstretched so that you could place the baby or the child onto the burning hands. Others showed that there were like holes placed in the body of the statue that were on fire, and so you'd be able to put the baby or the child inside of one of those holes. And then while that was going on, they would play the drums, the timbrels. So they would play music to drown out the crying of the child until they burned to death.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. And some sources, like the commentators, said that the practice was believed to bring prosperity for the family and future children. And it's like, well, if that's what you're gonna do to have future children, like why do you think God would even bless you with that? Like that's just crazy if you're just gonna go and do those things. And there were differing opinions about the exact practice and the reason for it, but God warned the people and prohibited them from worshiping any false deity or offering their children for sacrifice. And throughout, as we continue to go through the Bible, we'll see that this same topic is brought up again throughout the Bible. This here in the context of sexual sin, because often this was a way to eliminate children as a result of the sexual acts that God commanded against. So this is like the ancient version of abortion. And a lot of people today even use abortion as a form of birth control. God then provides precepts for sexual purity and cleanness. So do not lie or have sexual activity with a male, the same as you would with a female. So this would be the act of sodomy or homosexuality. And remember when God destroyed Sodom back in Abraham and Lot's time for these same practices. So God's intention and design is for it to be between a man and a woman. And God also refers to this practice as an abomination, which means extreme disgust and hatred. Next, we get into the animals. So don't lie with an animal, don't have sex with an animal. The fact that people are even sexually attracted to animals is crazy, but it's a thing. And so I was looking up because I know I've heard the term zoophilia before, and I didn't know what that was, but it came up when I was studying. So zoophilia is an unnatural attraction to animals where bestiality is the act of committing sexual sin with animals. And I looked out of curiosity, like my search history is probably crazy because I looked out of curiosity, like if there was any states here in the United States that it's legal, because I've heard stories of people doing that. I've heard stories of animal cruelty and things like that with animals. And
Arkansas.
actually, no.
What?
It is still legal in West Virginia, but has been deemed illegal in all other states.
West Virginia.
Yes, I don't know what they be doing over there. I've never been there. I don't even ever hear anything about them.
Anything.
But there are other countries around the world that this is also practiced. Maybe openly, maybe not, but stay away from animals like that.
Right.
God refers to this as perversion, which is a sexual practice or act considered abnormal or deviant, humiliation, and debasement. And God warns against Israel making themselves unclean by following the practices of the Canaanites and surrounding nations. By these nations defiling themselves, they also defiled the actual land that they were living in and made it sick. So, by that, divine judgment took place and the people were expelled. So, God has already said he's going to drive these people out. So, they're going to lose their home and their place of, of being
Yeah.
because of their sin. And it's going to be given to the Israelites. Any questions, comments, concerns on chapter 18? Okay. All right. So continuing on to chapter 19. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to all the congregation of the people of Israel and say to them, You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Every one of you shall revere his mother and his father. You shall keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make for yourselves any gods of cast metal. I am the Lord your God. When you offer a sacrifice of peace offering to the Lord, you shall offer it so that you may be accepted. It shall be eaten the same day you offer it or on the day after. Anything left over until the third day shall be burned up with fire. If it is eaten at all on the third day, it is tainted. It will not be accepted, and everyone who eats it shall bear his iniquity, because he has profaned what is holy to the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from his people. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap your field right up to its edge, neither shall you gather the gleanings after your harvest. You shall not strip your vineyard bare, neither shall you gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the sojourner. I am the Lord your God. You shall not steal. You shall not deal falsely. You shall not lie to one another. You shall not swear by my name falsely, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not oppress your neighbor or rob him. The wages of a hired worker shall not remain with you all night until the morning. You shall not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind, but you shall fear your God. I am the Lord. You shall do no injustice in court. You shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but in righteousness shall you judge your neighbor. You shall not go around as a slanderer among your people, and you shall not stand up against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord. You shall not hate your brother in your heart, but you shall reason frankly with your neighbor, lest you incur sin because of him. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the sons of your own people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. You shall keep my statutes. You shall not let your cattle breed with a different kind. You shall not sow your field with two kinds of seed, nor shall you wear a garment of cloth made of two kinds of material. If a man lies sexually with a woman who is a slave, assigned to another man, and not yet ransomed or given her freedom, a distinction shall be made. They shall not be put to death because she was not free. But he shall bring his compensation to the Lord, to the entrance of the tent of meeting, a ram for a guilt offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering before the Lord for his sin that he has committed. He shall be forgiven for the sin that he has committed. When you come into the land and plant any kind of tree for food, then you shall regard its fruit as forbidden. 3 years it shall be forbidden to you. It must not be eaten. In the 4th year, all its fruit shall be holy, an offering of praise to the Lord. But in the 5th year, you may eat of its fruit to increase its yield for you. I am the Lord your God. You shall not eat any flesh with the blood in it. You shall not interpret omens or tell fortunes. You shall not round off the hair on your temples or mar the edges of your beard. You shall not make any cuts on your body for the dead or tattoo yourselves. I am the Lord. Do not profane your daughter by making her a prostitute, lest the land fall into prostitution and the land become full of depravity. You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums or necromancers. Do not seek them out. So make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. You shall stand up before the gray head and honor the face of an old man, and you shall fear your God. I am the Lord. When a stranger sojourns with you in your land, you shall not do him wrong. You shall treat the stranger who sojourns with you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. You shall do no wrong in judgment, in measures of length or weight or quantity. You shall have just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and just hin. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, and you shall observe all my statutes and all my rules and do them. I am the Lord. So this is breaking down just a bunch of different things. But in this, once again, God reminds the people who he is and the standard he sets for the people to conduct themselves in the same manner because they're representatives specifically chosen by him. God is unlike any other. He's divine. His character is divine. He is separate from man. He commands his people to be holy just as he is. Israel was to be separate and different from the nations around them. God is holy in his actions and his laws. He expects the same from his people. And here we have God is basically recapping things that have already been said previously. So honor or have reverence for your mother and father. This is the fifth commandment. And actually the only one that has a blessing attached to it. So it says, honor your father and mother so your days will be long, or the days of your life will be long. So that's the first one. Then the next is keep the Sabbaths, which is the day of rest. This is the fourth commandment. In the New Covenant, in the New Testament, Jesus is our rest. And in Hebrews 4, 9 through 11, it says, so then there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For whoever has entered God's rest has also rested from his works, as God did from his. Let us therefore strive to enter that rest, so that no one may fall by the same sort of disobedience. Under the new covenant, no one is under obligation to observe a specific day as a Sabbath. Colossians 2, 16 and 17 says, therefore, let no one pass judgment on you in questions of food and drink, or with regard to a festival or a new moon or a Sabbath. These are a shadow of the things to come, but the substance belongs to Christ. And in Galatians 4, 9 through 11, but now that you have come to know God, or rather to be known by God, how can you turn back again to the weak and worthless elementary principles of the world, whose slaves you want to be once more? You observe days and months and seasons and years. I am afraid I may have labored over you in vain. Now, this is because we do have, if you've ever encountered or seen any videos or anything of like Hebrew Israelites, the groups, they'll go stand on the corners and they've gone back, they've reverted back to living according to the Old Testament law. But when Jesus came and died on the cross for us and rose, he fulfilled that, because there's no person that could match or could follow all 613 laws in the Old Testament. And if you break one, then you've broken all of them. So Jesus came as a substitute to die for our sins. And so with that, we have rest in him.
613.
There's 613 laws in the Old Testament.
Wow.
Yeah. Imagine,
If you break one, basically you're screwed.
And people can't, yeah, like there's not sacrifices of animals anymore. You're not going, where's the temple? There's
Right.
no priests that are accepting. I mean, they're trying to make a third temple over there in fake Israel, but that's, they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
But you're not over there trying to find a ram and find a thing. Like, no, we can go directly to God
Right.
in prayer through Jesus. Now, and obeying the parents, that goes back to if your parents are your earthly parents, right? You submit to them, you honor and reverence them, and it teaches you to honor and obey God, who is our Heavenly Father. Next, we have idolatry. So do not turn to idols or make them. This is the second command. Like God should be first and foremost. There shall be no other gods before him. In Exodus 20:4-6, it says, "You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commands." So all these statues, all these, different things that people pray to, that people set up on their altars, all of that is idolatry.
Right.
All of that, it's useless things. An idol comes from a root word meaning worthless, inadequate, nothingness. It is frequently used in the Old Testament to refer to the gods of other groups of people. The Israelites did not consider them of any value, and this is according to commentary by Renee Peter Contesi. An idol was essentially a lifeless counterfeit. It couldn't talk, it couldn't hear you, it couldn't do anything. They made them out of wood, metal, stone.
Gold.
Yeah, so it's not going to do anything for you. Peace offerings were to be eaten within 2 days. So on the third day, it was tainted and it would not be accepted. And the peace offering, remember, was of free will. God didn't want forced fellowship. And so this was by your own free will that you would go and fellowship with God. You would offer a sacrifice to him. Next section, we have loving your neighbor as yourself. So this is God giving a reminder of how to deal with other people in a way that was pleasing to him. For those that had crops and worked the land and the vineyards, when harvest time came, they were not to collect everything. So the people had to leave the edges with food so that the poor and the foreigner could be provided for. God cares for the poor and needy just as much as he cares for those that have a lot. So he always wanted to make sure that there was food for them. And this acted as kind of its own social welfare system for those in need. So instead of taking the food to donate like we do today, where people can go to the food bank and the food is just there, this was a way for them to preserve their dignity, and they would be able to walk by these fields behind the harvesters and take the leftovers for themselves. So instead of them asking for charity, they're still out there laboring for their food because they still have to go and get it and bring it back home. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, that would be great, because now you try to walk onto a field and I'm pretty sure you get in trouble, like for stealing. Right. Like if they're doing away with all the fields. So they're getting rid of the fields and building apartments and warehouses. And it's like, okay, well, if you would just leave the fields there, it would be, I mean, I think it would be economically smart, and it would provide for the homeless people that are out there begging for money, begging for food.
Right.
Because if you're really hungry, what are you going to do? You're going to go and you're going to try to figure out how to get it. And they would be able to do that without stealing because it's provided for them. Typically there's an overabundance. It doesn't all get taken to the stores and things like that. So
Yeah, I don't know where I was the other day, but they had cantaloupe all over the field.
mhm.
I don't remember where I was, but Yeah, there's a ton of it.
And the fields are big, so it's not like you're taking, like you'd be leaving a lot. And this is for the vineyards too. You know, you've got the grapes that fall on the ground.
Right.
Okay, well, let them, let them fall. Let them take the majority.
Fall.
Yeah. And there's orange trees and stuff like that along the roads. Like, it always makes me smile when I see people like picking oranges on the side of the road. I don't know why, but it's just like, oh, look at God gave them food. Like, that's so nice. Like, I always think about that. And
Or people that put bags of fruit.
yeah. And here there's a practice, but now people are so selfish. But it's like just let them get a little bit, even if it's just a couple tomatoes or something.
Yep.
I see
I
the
agree.
same thing. Like when you have to pay to get into the lakes, pay to get into the national parks, things like that. Like God God created them.
Right.
So why are we paying to enjoy God's creation? Like he created them for free. So why do we have to pay to go and see them or to go, enjoy ourselves with our family or whatever in them? It doesn't make any sense that you have to pay. And I was having that conversation um with Haley yesterday. I think it was yesterday, where she was saying the same thing. And, she's like, so what are we actually supposed to eat, or what could we eat? And it's like in the beginning, God had created all of the trees. Like he told Adam, you can eat from any of the tree except for this one. So at that point, his sustenance was already provided for him. Everything he needed was in the land, and it was there and it was good. It was nutritious. And now everything's so coated in chemicals and toxins that you're basically paying to get one step closer to some type of diagnosis.
To death.
And it's crazy. But and they had that because it was very agricultural back in those days. I mean, obviously, they'd have markets and things like that where you can buy things, but they still left it open to be able to get things for free to go back and feed your family at least. And when we get to the book of Ruth, we'll see that talked about because Ruth does that. Um, okay, so next is do not steal. That's
It's a given.
that's a given. But I mean it happens all the time.
Don't touch it.
Yeah, and that's the eighth commandment. So people are to provide for themselves by working. And God strives for us to be givers and not takers. Ephesians 4:28, let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone in need. Um, do not deal falsely. So obviously, no underhanded schemes, no, don't try to get over on somebody just because you can. Do not lie. These have negative impacts on the community, the economy, and it breaks trust. I mean, now, you're worried about somebody stealing, where people are even like testing people to see if they're gonna steal. They'll lay out valuables, see if somebody's gonna take something. And it's like that's crazy that you can't just blindly trust anybody because you don't know what their intentions are. And people walk around jealous, people walk around coveting things that don't belong to them. So if they see it, then they're gonna try to snag it. Do not use God's name to swear. Do not oppress or rob your neighbor. Pay people right away and don't make them wait. Right. If they do a job for you, then they're deserving of their wages. Like, don't withhold from them. Don't try to be greedy, and don't try to get a bunch of free labor from them. Like, if they're doing a work, then they need to be paid for that. I mean, think about it. Think
Well-
about the laws and things that we have in place. Like as we read, a lot of it is
Based on
outlined
the
here,
Bible.
but they've removed God from everything.
They're removing it from the school.
Look at us. Look at us. Everybody's struggling in one way or another. But I mean, look at the state of the whole country though. Like they it's very easy for them to say like, oh, God bless America. But it's like, do you like based on what we're learning, do you really think that he's read that part? Because it's like, okay, you can say that, but I need to know which God you're talking about because you really think that with everything that's going on here, you think God is blessing this?
With this speech.
Like absolutely not, and they're like, "Oh, one nation under God." Like this nation is not under God though. They do everything in their power to remove God from every place, every space. So it's yeah, the question is there like which God are we referring to? Because are we talking about the God of money? Are we talking about the prince of the world of the earth, which is the devil? Like where are we at? Because it's not looking very biblical here. We're very much looking like a pagan nation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The natural disasters, even. I mean, and those are happening around the world, like the ones that just happened in Venezuela that were back to back.
Yeah.
Like,
Still
no,
haven't found everybody.
God is not going to be mocked, and he's not going to be used
Right.
to say that we're living according to him. People don't even like talking about God. They don't like talking about the Bible. They don't like talking about Jesus. They get so heated. So it's just like, okay, let's be yeah, like let's be real. Like let's be so for
Yep.
real here. So, and I mean, even in these are basic, human
Rules.
decency things. Like be nice to other people.
Common sense.
Don't take what doesn't belong to you. Don't lie to people.
Don't sleep with your neighbor's husband.
Right. Like there's so much going on that literally all the rules are being broken.
Right.
Then we
Yep.
get to the disabled. Here we deal kindly with the blind and the deaf. So they're already vulnerable, right? Like so they can't defend themselves in the same way that us that have all of our senses can. So if you're insulting a deaf person, they can't hear you. Everybody else around them can hear, but they can't hear you to be able to defend themselves or protect themselves. If and the blind, they're gonna fall. If you put something in front of them, and I've seen so many videos where people do that, and it irritates me because they'll put something or they'll trip them, they'll take their little stick, whatever it is, just to watch them humiliate themselves. And instead, we should be helping these people. We should be, offering.
Please.
Yeah, that's it. Just don't be a bully to people. And it's cruelty to other people. Like God calls others to be kind. He calls us to be kind to others because he's kind to us. Like he still blesses us when we don't deserve it.
He wakes us up every
He
day.
still allows good things to happen to us,
Right.
even when we're in disobedience, even when we're in rebellion, even when we're running away from him, whatever it is. Like he's still kind to us and he's patient with us, but yet we can't have that same decency for other people. And so people back then believed that having a disability was a judgment from God. But in John 9:1-4, which is in the New Testament, uh, it states, as he passed by, he saw, this is Jesus, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, it was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. So just because somebody has a disability, somebody's born with a disability, that
doesn't mean they did.
That doesn't mean that it's their fault and you should just automatically assume they're a bad person. I mean, God's ways are higher than our ways. God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So understanding that he has a reason and purpose for every single thing and every single person, that's something that we have to keep in mind. Do no injustice in court. Being partial and showing favor due to status is not pleasing to God. We are all called to judge righteously and fairly according to God's standards and God's truth. John 7:24 says, "Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment." So just because somebody has money doesn't mean they're automatically in the right, or just because somebody is poor and considered a victim in society's eyes doesn't mean they're in the right. We still need to have two witnesses present. We still need to have evidence to present so that each person can be judged fairly and according to what is the truth. Do not slander. A gossiper, someone who takes pleasure in spreading rumors and talking about the lives of other people. Don't cut down somebody's character just because you don't like them. Do not hate your brother in your heart. And what does hate do? Hate, in a lot of cases, turns to rage or anger, right? And you tend to do rash things when you're angry. That can lead to murder, just like Cain and Abel. He was jealous, he was angry, he killed his brother. And we hear about that all the time, literally all the time in the heat of passion or whatever they call that. Somebody's murdering somebody. Yeah, somebody gets jealous or angry, they murder their family, then they kill themselves, they murder someone else. There's documentaries coming out every single day about these things. So love for your brother is commanded. In 1 John 3:15, it says, "Everyone who hates his brother is a murderer. And you know that no murderer has eternal life abiding in him." 1 John 4:20 says, "If someone says, 'I love God,' and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God who he has not seen." So even carrying hate in your heart for somebody, you've committed murder in your heart. Do not take vengeance or bear a grudge. Vengeance belongs to the Lord. Allow him to handle it, and he will. Forgive it, forgive the person, and let go. It's not yours to hold on to. It's not yours to go out and seek revenge for,
Right.
because all that's going to do is land you in trouble, and it's not pleasing to God. You let God handle it. Obviously, the government was put into place for a reason. Is it all that it should be now? No.
No.
But God exercises his vengeance through the rightful use of government authority. So we have the court system, we have the jail system, we have rehabs, we have all kinds of different things. So if a crime is committed, then it has to go through the proper channels to make sure justice is served. Unfortunately, that's not always the case these days, but back in those days, I'm sure it worked out way better than it does now. God tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves. In Romans 13:10, it says, "Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is fulfilling of the law." And if you think about it, that's true. If you love your neighbor, you don't want to hurt your neighbor. You don't want to do wrong to your neighbor, right? So it's what we learned since we're little. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. You don't want somebody to steal from you, don't steal from them. You don't want somebody to lie to you, don't lie to them. It's simple. You treat people with kindness, and that's what you're going to get back. Sometimes it sucks because people suck, but you still need to be the representative of Christ, and you still have to treat others with respect and kindness. Mark 12:31 says, "The second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." In John 13:34, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You are also to love one another." And lastly, in this section, Luke 6:27 and 28. "But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who abuse you." So, one question that I ask is, how much money are you making by carrying something that you were already supposed to let go of? Somebody wronged you, somebody did something to hurt you, but you're still carrying that grudge, you're still hating on that person, you still have bitterness in your heart. But how much money is it making you? What value is it adding to you and your life?
Just gotta let it go.
because at that point it's pointless. You're carrying around baggage that you were never supposed to carry. You forgive somebody, you let it go. And the forgiveness is not for that person, the forgiveness is for you. Because in the Bible, it also does state, Jesus also states, if you do not forgive others, God will not forgive you. So if you're carrying unforgiveness, forgive that person, let it go, and give it to God. Okay.
Everybody awake?
Is that, yeah, everybody's awake. They're listening
Yeah,
intently.
yeah, I'm listening. I'm writing notes and everything.
Good job.
They're listening with excitement. I'm just kidding. Okay. So next section is where God was talking about keeping his statutes. So God brings up not mixing the cattle with a different kind, not sowing the fields with two kinds of seed, and not wearing garments of cloth made of different kinds of materials. So back then, you were not to wear mixed linens. You know, you can't wear wool with linen or polyester with cotton or whatever it may be. It had to be one. Everything had to be with its own kind. So mixing of the things was commonly practiced in pagan nations to be a source of some type of magical powers. God instructed his people to remain separate in keeping kind with kind and maintaining purity and cleanness. Just like with in the creation story where he says, you know, the cattle with its kind and every tree of its kind, there wasn't supposed to be mixing.
Right.
But pagan nations did that. So in verse 20, it outlines the unlawful relationships with a slave or a concubine. So in those days, if a concubine was engaged or open to be married, and another man, comes and rapes her, she now becomes unmarriable. She's tainted at that point. So the man that commits the sin is now obligated to bring an offering to make atonement for his sin. In verse 23, it outlines the law, not yet in effect because the Israelites haven't entered the promised land, but God told them when they get there and they get settled and they start planting their crops, their vineyards, the first 3 years, they were not to eat of any of the fruit. They were to let it grow and do its thing. The fruit of the fourth year belongs to the Lord, and then the fruit could be eaten in the fifth year. So God knew that not harvesting right away would result in more production. Because if you prune the things back and you allow them to grow, typically when you cut off a branch or you cut off the fruit, it's going to start producing more and the trees will grow bigger, the plants will grow bigger, and eventually the fruit on those plants will get bigger too because they start off small. Like my bell peppers. My bell peppers right now, this is the first year and they're really, really tiny. But as long as the plant lives and I keep cultivating it, the next year they'll be bigger. Same with the strawberries and things that I have out there. So verse 26 begins to outline laws to ensure separation from pagan practices. God warns once again not to eat anything with blood. So at this point, if people don't know not to eat anything with blood, like they're clearly just not listening because God has stated it over and over and over
Right.
in different parts of the Bible. Stay away from witchcraft. So pagans use divination and sorcery to predict future events. Not shaving or disfiguring the edges of the beard. So I found out that this was to imitate the looks of the false gods. So they would shave different pieces of their like beards, different parts of their heads, and it was to imitate the looks so that they could look like these gods.
Right.
And people would also offer their hair to these false gods. And even now, like people that do witchcraft and things like that, they'll take hair and they can do spells on it. And that's why some people like burn their hair or they flush it or whatever so that their hair is not used in spells or witchcraft.
Right.
Um, what she burns her hair?
Yeah.
I don't. I try to, but if I see like that my hair fell on the floor, I'll try to like throw it in my garbage, and I always pray like God, please don't let nobody go dig through my garbage because people are crazy. People are crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like blood. I don't want to give them blood that much.
oh, I won't. I won't. I know too much about the medical. I know too much about witchcraft and things like that. Now, I would not donate blood. Absolutely not.
Mm.
I have those people in the hospitals and they're witches and they do things. So I'm not gonna do that. But cutting of the flesh in this context refers to making deep cuts in the skin. So people would gash their skin and mourn for their relatives. And this was done to provide lifeblood for the spirit of the dead person rather to express sorrow, according to the commentary by Renee Peter. I think his last name is Contess. I'm not sure. But they would mutilate themselves to drop blood, and it would be in honor of the practices and the rituals that they would do. Tattoos in those days were seen as a mark indicating someone was a slave to a particular deity or in honor of that deity. And as I was reading that and looking at the commentary, um, one of the examples that came to mind recently, I've seen a lot of people, like as I'm scrolling on social media, I've seen a lot of people talking about tattoos that they're getting of Minerva. And like she looks like, a warrior goddess person. Like she got the helmet and whatever. And, people get so excited, like, oh, I'm going to get the helmet of Minerva. I'm going to get Minerva. I didn't know who she was. I don't know everything about Greek mythology, so I did have to look it up. And she was the Greek goddess of wisdom, justice, law, victory, the arts, and she's often associated with strategic warfare. The owl can also be associated with Minerva. But you see people, I mean, even Medusa, right? Like I've seen people get the Medusa, and I know the meaning of things have changed as far as like, oh, I'm getting this tattoo to represent, being a survivor of different things,
Right.
of sexual assault or,
Cancer.
different things. But understanding the context or the intention of why you're getting a tattoo, it's important. I mean, there's not to say that, people can't have tattoos, that's not explicitly stated, but understanding the origins of tattoos, understanding the meaning of the tattoo that you're getting, what you could be opening as far as legal rights to the demonic
Right.
because of what you're putting on your body and because of what you're marking on your temple. It's important. I mean, people get, horoscope things and whatever it is, but by doing that, tattoos can still open portals because you're still doing a form of like a blood ritual because you're shedding blood for that. So you just have to be careful. Um yeah, right. I got my tattoos, but I made sure like, oh yeah, they're all gonna have a meaning. But it's one of those things like once then it's just like, oh, okay, well, you can't see it the same as you did before because it has a different meaning and it has a different, a different conviction than you had before.
But you're not supposed to get tattoos anyhow, right? You're marking the
I mean, you're marking the temple,
right.
but it's not, like I said, it's not explicitly stated. So I would say if you're going to get a tattoo, pray. Well, pray about it.
Yeah.
Like obviously, you should be taking everything to the Lord, right? So if you're gonna get anything, like you should be taking it to the Lord. Like I had gotten my nose pierced a while back. I mean, I don't have it anymore, and like for the longest time, like, and I was out there running the streets and doing whatever because I was going through divorce, through everything. So I was just like, you know what, I'll be free and just do what I want. So I got my nose pierced, and like after a little while, like as I started reading my Bible and stuff, my nose piercing kept falling out, and I was like, okay, I just need to get a different one then. So I would get a different one, and it would keep falling out. And then one of the guys that I follow, he's a pastor, but he does deliverance, and of course it would be God that just puts it right in my face. But he was doing a deliverance on a girl that had a nose piercing, and I was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see it. And it popped back up and I was like, okay, fine. Let me just watch it. And like as he was talking to her, like she was saying different spirits that had come in by way of her nose piercing. Like he was talking to her, and God was revealing the reason for the piercing and what it represented, and what spiritual doors it opened. And like after that, I put my nose ring back in, and I had like the strongest conviction. I was like, fine, I'll take it out. I'll take it out. So, just taking everything back to the Lord, like, okay, God, what do you feel about this? What is this? Looking into the origins of things. That's all important. I'm not gonna say don't do it. I'm just gonna say pray about it first. Um, okay. Next is prostituting their daughter. So many pagans were giving their young women to the pagan temple as a ritual. So it was a form of pleasing the gods by giving them the women that would be assaulted and the women that would be out there doing orgies and, offering up worship to these idols. And people do it now. There was a girl, I think last year, who her mom was her manager, and she had a thousand dudes run through her in a 24-hour period. I don't know. It might be a different one, but like there's stories that like she had started with just like a few, and then she was like, let me try to see if I could do 1,000. And it was like, yeah, they like broke it down, and every dude was gonna get like 2.5 minutes with her or something. And it's like, can you just imagine all the spirits that you're letting attach to you
Right.
by doing that? And her mom was her manager. Her mom was managing the money, managing the schedule. Like, so her mom was responsible for prostituting out her daughter.
Right.
And even people that offer their kids for, sex trafficking and are selling their kids online, like I don't know if anybody's seen it, but there's like this app called Vinted or something where people can sell like clothes or whatever. And I've seen videos where people are like raising awareness because people were selling their children, like people were selling children on there. Like they would have a picture of like a stuffed animal or something, and then it would be going for like thousands of dollars. And in the description of it, it would say like 2 years old, blonde, blue eyes, has nothing to do with the picture. And
Yeah.
it would be like free shipping with, an extra this much money for the insurance policy. And like there was the whole Wayfair thing, and all
Or
before this.
yeah. Or
I mean,
did you see like it would say that they were like feisty or calm, agreeable, blah blah blah, and it's so ugly, so awful, and so sad. Like people are disgusting.
yes, people are absolutely disgusting. And it's like once they get found out, they're just gonna move on to something else. And the fact that they can be so sly in trying to do this and waiting, it's crazy to me. But
Government does it too.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the government's involved in it too. But being having children for the purpose of pimping them out or selling them, like that's or eating them. Yeah, that's not cool, and that's not the intention that God created. That's not his design. So you're going outside of that, and people are just sick. It just shows the depraved minds that are out there. And God is prohibiting and warning against this, saying, look, these nations are doing this, so you don't be a part of that. And then God brought up, he had already brought it up, but then he brings it up again for mediums and familial spirits, like necromancy. So this was a doorway into the occult. Pagans sought to seek after the dead. They worshipped and contacted their ancestors. And we can even see that that's super popular today. Like a lot of the singers and stuff, they're into ancestor worship and, you know, all of these things. So that practice has still continued and it's starting to rise over again. And people would rather worship or honor their ancestors instead of actually worshiping and seeking the Lord. And we'll see an example of contacting a medium and get to King Saul in Samuel. Lastly, God commands to honor the elders and deal kindly and justly with the foreigner. And if you think about the world today, what are we doing to foreigners? Like literally, they're being tormented and taken. And they're often looked at as less than, which goes against what God commands, because God commands us to follow his statutes, not just the knowledge of them. God literally took Israel out of Egypt. They were foreigners in Egypt. And he delivered them out of there. And like we should be kind to foreigners just the same as we are to people that are born here. Now pointing to Jesus, Jesus kept the law of Moses in every way. He was in every way. He perfectly kept the Sabbath. He never turned to idols. He never stole, lied, or dealt cruelly with anyone. He was perfect and sinless. So we are to follow Jesus' example and not the example of the world. And then one last note for this chapter, just like we read in chapter 19, where uncover the nakedness was repeated 19 times. Here, I am the Lord was repeated 15 times just in one chapter. So after every law and statute that he gave, he always reminded, I am the. So I thought that was interesting.
Cool.
Does anybody have anything else or anything on chapter 19 before we move on?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that was super long.
All right. I know it was a lot. It was a lot. Okay.
It really was.
Chapter 20. This is the last one and it's not too long. So we're almost done. This is the punishment for child sacrifice. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, say to the people of Israel, any one of the people of Israel or of the strangers who sojourn in Israel, who gives any of his children to Molech, should surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. I myself will set my face against that man and will cut him off from among his people, because he has given one of his children to Molech to make my sanctuary unclean and to profane my holy name. If the people of the land do at all close their eyes to that man, when he gives one of his children to Molech and do not put him to death, then I will set my face against that man and against his clan, and will cut them off from among their people, him and all who follow him in whoring after Molech. If a person turns to mediums and necromancers, whoring after them, I will set my face against that person and will cut him off from among his people. Consecrate yourselves, therefore, and be holy, for I am the Lord your God. Keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord who sanctifies you. For anyone who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother, his blood is upon him. If a man commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. If a man lies with his father's wife, he has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. If a man lies with his daughter in law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have committed perversion. Their blood is upon them. If a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. If a man takes a woman and her mother also, it is depravity. He and they shall be burned with fire, that there may be no depravity among you. If a man lies with an animal, he shall surely be put to death, and you shall kill the animal. If a woman approaches any animal and lies with it, you shall kill the woman and the animal. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. If a man takes his sister, a daughter of his father or a daughter of his mother, and sees her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, it is a disgrace. And they shall be cut off in the sight of the children of their people. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness, and he shall bear his iniquity. If a man lies with a woman during her menstrual period and uncovers her nakedness, he has made naked her fountain, and she has uncovered the fountain of her blood. Both of them shall be cut off from among their people. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister or of your father's sister, for that is to make naked one's relative. They shall bear their iniquity. If a man lies with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness. They shall bear their sin, and they shall be childless. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is impurity. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness, and they shall be childless. You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my rules and do them, that the land where I am bringing you to live may not vomit you out. And you shall not walk in the customs of the nation that I am driving out before you, for they did all these things, and therefore I detested them. But I have said to you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it to you to possess, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, who has separated you from the peoples. You shall therefore separate the clean beast from the unclean, and the unclean bird from the clean. You shall not make yourselves detestable by beast, or by bird, or by anything with which the ground crawls, which I have set apart for you to hold unclean. You shall be holy to me, for I am the Lord your God, or for I, the Lord, am holy, and have separated you from the peoples, that you should be mine. A man or a woman who is a medium or a necromancer shall surely be put to death. They shall be stoned with stones, their blood shall be upon them.
Dang.
Again,
Right.
like he reiterates over and over. So God forewarned that anyone who follows the pagan practice of offering their child as sacrifice to Molech would be put to death. It doesn't say might be, it says sure shall surely be.
Good.
God would set his face against that person, and the punishment was death by stoning. So capital punishments in the Bible were handled by a person being stoned. Things like murder, idolatry, adultery, false prophecy, practicing witchcraft, blaspheming God's name, just to name some. And according to Bible Gateway, the I the link is in the notes, but this would take place. So the stonings would take place outside of the city. The witness, there had to be at least two, would place their hand on the head of the guilty to transfer the guilt, just like the animals, like in the sacrifices. And the community would throw stones until the person died. So obviously, this wasn't a swift death. This wasn't, like
Slow.
like the electric chair, or like we have today, or had with like the firing squad, which I understand they're trying to bring back.
Yeah,
The death would be slow and painful, right? You've got different stones, different people with different strengths. So they're just throwing it at you until you die. Anyone who knew of the child sacrifices being done and did not say anything and put that person to death. So if they kept tight-lipped, didn't put that person to death, God would also be against them, and that person would be cut off from the people. God reminds again, anyone who turns to mediums and necromancers would also be cut off from the people. Mediums are those that open communication between the living and the dead. So any use of the Ouija board, seances, trances, channeling, all these things that are, becoming popular with like new age. You have like the ayahuasca and whatever stuff that puts you in these trances. those, it wasn't tolerated. Necromancy, communicating with the dead in order to predict the future or making something happen, was also prohibited. God also warns that cursing your father and mother is punishable by death. Punishments for sexual immorality. If adultery is committed, both parties involved get put to death. If a man sleeps with his mother or his stepmom, both involved will be put to death. If a man sleeps with his daughter-in-law, both shall be put to death for perversion. If a man sleeps with another man, this of course goes for women as well, both of them will be put to death. If a man sleeps with his mother, the mother and the daughter, that's punishable by being burned to death. So all three of them in the fire. If a man or a woman commits sexual sin against an animal, the person will be put to death, and then that animal also has to be killed because now the animal is defiled. If a man defiles his sister and sees her nakedness, he gets cut off from the people. If a man sleeps with a woman on her period, both parties will be cut off. If a man uncovers the nakedness of his aunt, they shall be barren and unable to have children. If a man takes his brother's wife, they shall also be barren and unable to have children. So just in this chapter alone, but in everything that we've read, God specifies in great detail over and over what's required to establish the guidelines for remaining pure and in right standing. Understand, God wasn't giving statutes just because. The actions, everything that he did and said was because it was either being done or it would be done. So just like any law that we have in place, it's there because at least one person has done that thing.
Somebody's been stupid.
Yes, so they have to put in a guideline and a punishment to follow for the actions taken. So God reiterates over and over, if the rules and statutes are followed, he would keep the people and provide for them. If they did not follow, then they would be removed permanently, sometimes by death. To have God as your enemy, definitely not a light matter. And God ends the chapter once again by mentioning the medium and the necromancer. This was punishable by stoning and would not be tolerated. God is holy and is not going to compete with anyone else or anything else.
Should never have to.
No. And that, my friends, wraps up tonight's Bible study.
Very informative tonight.